So let's talk about a skill that's become more crucial than ever before: critical thinking. And no, it's not just some buzzword. It's pretty much the essential toolkit you need to get by in our pretty complex world.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You are swimming in a sea of information 24/7. How in the world do you decide what's real and what's not? What's actually going to work? That's the big question we're going to tackle today.
Here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get a real handle on what critical thinking actually is. Then we're going to jump into two very different worlds: the super disciplined mindset of an engineer, and then the Wild West of online news. After that, we'll talk about our best defense, connect all the dots, and I'll leave you with one last question to chew on.
All right, so first things first, what do we really mean when we throw around this term critical thinking? Let's get a solid definition we can actually use.
Okay, at its heart, critical thinking boils down to two key things: analyzing and evaluating. See, it's not about just having an opinion. It's about taking a step back, really looking at the soundness of an argument, checking the credibility of where it came from, and only then drawing a conclusion.
And, it's pretty wild to see how our idea of this skill has changed over time. Back in the 19th century, it was basically about analyzing data. Simple enough. But by the 20th century, wow, it had become this much deeper, higher-level skill, one that includes not just analysis, but also thinking about value, fairness, and even reflecting on your own thought process.
Now, to see this in action, let's look at a job where critical thinking isn't just a nice-to-have. It is absolutely non-negotiable. I'm talking about engineers, the people who literally build the world around us. So, a study went out and surveyed 300 people who are deep in the engineering industry. We're talking senior engineers, managers, the whole deal. They asked a simple question: what skills are truly essential for an engineer today? And the answers, well, they speak volumes.
Just look at these numbers. Almost 96% said that making decisions based on strong evidence was a very high need. 94% said the same for analyzing complex problems. These aren't just good suggestions. They're the bedrock of the profession. But there was one skill that got a perfect score. 100%. Every single person. They all agree that the ability to persevere and take full responsibility for your work is an absolute must. It makes sense, right? When you're building a bridge or a skyscraper, you can't just guess. The stakes are way too high. Your thinking has to be solid, and you have to own the outcome.
And this quote just nails it. For an engineer, critical thinking isn't some lofty academic idea. It's the tool they use day in and day out to solve real problems. In their world, there's just no room for fuzzy thinking. It's all about facts and sound judgment.
Okay, so hold that thought about the structured world of engineering, because we're about to do a complete 180. We're shifting gears from a world built on facts to the messy, chaotic flood of online information and the huge challenge of fake news. You know, the term fake news itself has had a weird history. It all started way back in the 1890s with yellow journalism, all about sensationalism and gossip. Then, in the early 2000s, it meant something totally different: satire, like on The Daily Show. But around 2016, things took a dark turn. The term started to mean exactly what it says: articles that are just plain false, but dressed up to look like real news.
And what was the supercharger for this new kind of fake news? You guessed it, social media. These platforms are literally built for speed, for sharing things in an instant. And that creates the absolute perfect breeding ground for misinformation to spread like wildfire.
And if you want to see just how powerful this effect is, get this. A study back in 2016 looked at where traffic was coming from. For reliable news sites, about 20% of their traffic came from Facebook. But for known fake news sites, that number jumped to a staggering 50%. The scale of the problem is just huge.
So that sounds pretty overwhelming, doesn't it? If the internet is just flooded with junk, what can we even do? Well, the answer isn't some magic button. It's about us building a better mental toolkit.
Here's the hard truth. A lot of us just aren't prepared for this new landscape. A huge Stanford study found that students really struggle to tell what's credible online. But the answer isn't to just log off forever. It's to build up a new kind of skill: information literacy.
And guess what powers information literacy? Yep, it's our old friend critical thinking. It's about having concrete skills, like being able to analyze an argument, test a claim like a scientist would, get comfortable with uncertainty, and maybe most important of all, evaluate the soundness and credibility of everything you read.
Okay, so we've been in two totally separate worlds, right?
the clean, precise world of engineering and the messy, chaotic world of the internet. So now, let's connect the dots. Let's find the one powerful idea that ties it all together.
This is the really cool part. When you put them side by side, you see the core principles are exactly the same. An engineer demands strong evidence, a smart newsreader evaluates their sources. An engineer analyzes a complex problem, a critical reader analyzes the soundness of an argument. It is the exact same fundamental skill set, just used in a different playground.
And this right here is the big takeaway. The very same kind of rigorous, evidence-based thinking that keeps a bridge from collapsing is exactly what you need to build a safe, reliable understanding of the world. It's your best defense.
So as we bring this all together, I just want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
We've seen that critical thinking isn't just for rocket scientists and engineers. It's an essential survival skill for every single one of us. So the real question isn't just about spotting fake news out there. It's about turning that lens inward. How are you going to challenge your own assumptions, your own beliefs, starting today?